Before this video even starts, I do want to say a massive thank you for all the support and love I had on my last video, because honestly, it made my day, so thank you. Every single one of you that watched it, thank you so much. But as I was reading the comments, I did come across one that I thought deserves a video. And I'm just going to read it out now. I'm struggling with loving my body and may have an eating disorder, but I go to the doctors and they say I haven't. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and I think I'm going to split it into two videos. So I'll talk about body confidence and self-love in another video, but today I'm going to talk about getting help for an eating disorder and what I did, and as much advice as what I can think of. Is that words? It's words. But yeah, I'll give you my advice, I'll give you some tips and tell you what I did to get help, and if that is something you want to see, then keep watching. So, I didn't realise I had a problem with food until I was 13. Now, if you've watched my last video, you'll have known that I said from the age of 8 was when my eating disorder started. But at the time, I didn't know there was a problem. So it was probably the age of 13 that I realised what I was doing was not normal. And I did actually go and get a bit of help, but I was turned away because of my weight. And because I wasn't underweight, I was healthy. I was a healthy weight, but I was borderline healthy. So, but my weight wasn't low enough for me to be able to get help. So I was told, just go home, eat some food, don't think about it, you'll be fine. I also got told that it was a phase, it was something that all teenage girls go through, and just to grow up. And that is such a toxic thing to say to anybody, because if you tell somebody with an eating disorder that they are too fat to have an eating disorder, or their weight isn't low enough to have an eating disorder, they are going to be thinking you're calling them fat, and that is going to make them restrict their calories even more or do any other behaviours to lose weight. It is so wrong that you can't get help unless you are of a low weight, and it's wrong and things need to change. But what I need to tell you is you need to keep going back to the doctors. You need to go to the doctors and you need to tell them exactly what's going on. If you find it hard to say what's going on in your head, write it down, give it to them. If you're still not getting any help, you request to see another doctor, because you deserve help. And eating disorders, it's such a wide spectrum. You do not have to be like at a very low weight to have an eating disorder. Just because you might be a heavier weight or a healthy weight, that does not mean your problems are not important. If you're struggling, your struggles are valid and you are important and you deserve the help. But the problem we've got is funding. So there is not a lot of funding that goes into mental health, and I would have thought by now, I mean, it's 2020, like, we should have more funding for mental health, because there is so many people who are struggling, and because they're not ill enough, they are not getting the help they need, and they get worse and worse and worse until they end up in hospital. And if you think about it, when someone ends up in hospital, it costs even more money to have them in there. Whereas if they give them a bit of intervention to begin with, help them on the way before things got worse, they wouldn't end up in hospital. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, imagine you went to hospital with a broken leg. You would go in there, you would get x-rayed, you might need surgery to like put your leg in the right position, get like a cast on it, get some crutches or a wheelchair or something. You would not walk, well, you wouldn't walk, would you? I was going to say you wouldn't walk into the hospital. You wouldn't, you've broken your leg. You wouldn't get to the hospital and a doctor come and see you and go, no, it's only your leg that's broken, come back when they're both broke, or come back when it falls off. No, they would treat you there and then. Well, maybe not there and then, like you'd probably have to wait in the waiting room for a bit, but they'd fix you that day. They wouldn't say come back when it's worse, they'd fix it. Same with like any other illnesses, like physical illnesses. You will get treatment. Like if you go to hospital and you've got cancer, they aren't going to say to you, oh, come back when it's terminal. No, they will start you on chemo, they will start you on radiotherapy, they will do all these things to try and help you and make you better. So it's so wrong and disgusting that people who are struggling with eating disorders or any mental health problem, they are not getting the help until they are dying. And when you get so unwell, you don't even want the help anymore. You're just like, no, I'm done. I've been fighting all this time on my own. Like, where were you when I asked for you? And when you get really unwell with an eating disorder, like physically, and your weight has dropped so much, you really fight treatment, like you really do, because you're just like, do you know what, I've managed all this time on my own, why do I need the help now? Like, give it to somebody else now, like go and help someone who wants it. So when you're going to the doctors asking for help and they're not doing it, it's frustrating. And I was seen by so many doctors, and I think the CAMHS Eating Disorders team, and if you're not from the UK, CAMHS is Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services, yeah, that's what it is. Their eating disorder team for me were amazing, and they really did help me. But the minute I turned 18, I didn't really get along with the eating disorders team, and I didn't see them for very long at all. So I just discharged myself from that service because they just weren't great. And then a few years later I was re-referred, and I saw them for an 8 weeks assessment period. And then they were like, no. Discharged me again. And now I'm with them, like, and I've been with them since December. And they are helping now, but it took me nearly 10 years to get the help that I needed. So I think if I had kept going back to the doctors and kept telling them how much I was struggling, rather than bottling it all up to the point where I couldn't cope, then maybe I would have got help sooner. So that's what I suggest you do. You need to keep going back to the doctors. You need to keep opening up to your family, tell them how much you're struggling, get them to ring the doctors. They can come in with you when you speak to the doctor. Like, you don't have to do it on your own. Like, eating disorders are like isolating illnesses anyway, and it makes you feel so alone. You don't need to fight this alone. You take your mum, you take your dad, your boyfriend, your best mate, go there together. Speak to your doctor. And obviously doctors at like a GP surgery, they don't know a lot about eating disorders, but they know people who can help you. They can get you referred to the eating disorders team, and if the eating disorders team have no spaces for you, then there is the mental health team, and you can speak to a community dietitian, you can have therapy, like whatever you want, you need to ask for. Even if you want to do what I do and write a big list of what you want and be like, I need help with these things, what can you do? Because you deserve treatment, you deserve to feel better, because eating disorders are horrible and I would not wish it upon my worst enemy. Like, although I'm in a happy place now, that does not mean that I'm recovered. Every day is a struggle, every meal is a struggle, but I'm choosing to fight this battle, and some days are harder than others and other days are absolutely amazing. And to be honest, today probably isn't the best day. Like, I didn't sleep very well, and I'm not feeling myself, but I still wanted to film because I know filming makes me feel better, so I am feeling a bit better now. But yeah, I hope that has answered your question, and I will talk about body positivity at some point, and I am so sorry if all I've done is ramble. But just to recap, keep going to the doctors, be honest with people, and do not stop fighting until you get the help that you deserve. I am gonna go and hoover my downstairs because I spilt a packet of biscuits on the floor and I've left the crumbs. Like, I'm a disgrace. Anyway, I'll see you next time.